everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of The Making of Her. I am your host, Dr. Meghna Dasani, and this space is where strategy meets real talk. We are talking success, leadership, growth, expansion, mindset, and everything in between as it applies to you and I, as well as the leaders that we are all creating. Today's guest is David Cook, who is a celebrated Texas tennis coach, as well as a former top ranked player. His career has shaped generations of athletes on as well as off the court. And since 2008, David has built a powerhouse program at Friendswood High School, guiding teams to 10 playoff and regional appearances, 9 district championships, as well as 8 regional finals. Under his leadership, more than 100 players have qualified for regional tournaments, with 25 advancing to state. His dedication and integrity have earned him multiple honors, including the 2019 TTCA 5A Coach of the Year, as well as the 2013 Kim Inoxen Integrity Award, both of which recognize excellence and character in coaching. Now, David's influence extends well beyond just high school success. 28 of his players have gone on to compete in college, with 2 actually capturing national collegiate titles, as well as UIL state champions. Today, David Cook continues to shape the next generation of athletes with the same mix of discipline, mentorship, and passion that defined his own journey from city champion to one of Texas's most respected tennis coaches. All right, so then the question arises, but Meghna, why is David here? What is he doing? What is a tennis coach talking to us about women and leadership and everything that goes along with it, scaling our businesses, expansion, and all of that? And the answer to that question is because he's a teacher, he's an educator, he is a coach, and he holds the future of our children, the young women that he leads, and molds them into our future leaders, which is why David's here. Welcome.
Thank you.
It is my honest honor to have you here. And we will post this in the show notes, but I wanted to showcase this. This is his latest book, first book? First book. First of many.
We'll see.
I would recommend getting onto Amazon and getting a copy. It's a very easy read. When he launched it, I downloaded it on Kindle and read it cover to cover. Super easy. It's like talking to your friend who's telling you about how things went down. So, David, take us back to who was David before the coach?
Well, I was an immature boy. I was the kid who was always going to the tennis courts. My best friends were the other players. I when I was about 15 or 16, my dad looked at me one day. He says, "All you do is go to the tennis courts." I said, "I know." He says, "What are you going to do? Just go to that for the rest of your life?" I said, "That's a pretty good plan." And almost that's what I've done. So I found a way to get paid as a tennis instructor when I was a teenager. Got out of it for a little bit, kind of quit tennis for a little while, like a year. And then I became an assistant pro at a country club. Ron Woods, if you're out there, he took the chance on me. Funny story.
David's all about the stories, y'all.
I like stories.
Grab your coffee or wine if it's that kind of day and buckle up.
There's this French Canadian kid named Simon. I don't remember his last name. Nice guy. I was friends with, and he was friends with my other friend. And one day I just said, "Simon, you've got a good gig. You're working for Ron Woods. Ron Woods is the head pro of the Corpus Christi Country Club, and that was the place to play tennis. But you had to be a member or, somehow connected. And I was not a member, not going to be. And I just looked up at Simon. I said, "Man, you've got a pretty good deal for someone our age." And he goes, "You think so?" I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Man, I don't know. I'm kind of missing Canada." I said, "Simon, if you ever leave, please let me know, because I don't want to take your job, but I'd love to have your job if you ever left." And it wasn't very long later, he says, "David, I'm leaving." So I called Ron Woods, who at that point I was a little scared of, and left him a message. And he called me back that night and says, "Man, I need to hire a guy. Are you looking?" I said, "I'm looking, Ron." I think he hired me 2 days later, and Started riding my bike to 5 miles to get to the country club every day. And one day Ron looked up, he says, "You ride your bike here?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Why don't I give you a ride home?" So he started taking me home every day. And he became like a father figure to me. And eventually I think he got tired of it, so he helped me buy a car. And that's how I got my second car.
So, was it just hanging out with your friends that drew you into tennis, or did you like really enjoy the sport, or did you have a sibling, a cousin, a friend that played it?
All
Like,
right.
what drew you to it?
All right. You're going back a ways. We're going
Back.
everything I just said was almost 18, 19, 20. Now we're going back to when I'm 11 or 12. I wanted to play every sport, but I was little, small, undersized. Baseball until people started growing, and I was also a late grower. Until started people started growing, I could be a catcher, I could be a second baseman or a center fielder. And I was very athletic, but everyone else was comparatively I like to play a little, but I wanted to play all the time. And so baseball was fun until I was definitely smaller than everyone, and they didn't always want to play. You need like 20 people to play. So soccer was pretty fun, but there's never a pickup game of soccer in the US, especially back then. So one day I'm hanging out in my living room and I see my friends walking down the street with tennis rackets. So I was like, I have a tennis racket. I never used it, but I had one. And I said, "Hey, can I come?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I grabbed my racket and we went and played and we figured out a way to make a little tournament of it. And I don't remember if I won or not, but I remember I wanted to win. So I went back and had dinner. And this must have been the summertime because I remember taking two or three balls and going back and hitting against the wall all night until it got dark. And the next day I called them up. I said, "Let's play again." Okay. I know I did better the second day.
Hmm.
And then I said, "Let's do it again." I went back to the wall, went to them, went to the wall, went to them. And it became something I didn't need someone to practice with, but it was fun to beat them. Well, eventually they got tired of me calling, so I had to find other people to play, and I found a tournament. And I was like, "Tournaments? You mean there's tournaments?" And I mean, I'm 11, maybe 12, and I was hooked. The first tournament, I won like 4 rounds, lost in the finals. I figured I've got this licked. You've read the book, you know what happens next. Second tournament did not go that well. I got smoked. And that's when I was like, man, I really got to work at this. But the wall never got tired. And I never got tired. I just kept going. I learned how to serve. And here's the thing about the wall. You know who Mitch Hedberg is? Comedian. It's kind of stoner humor, but he's pretty funny. But he says the wall is tenacious. It never gets tired. That's true. But also, if you want to learn how to hit on it, you have to learn how to hit square. Like if you don't hit it straight, it doesn't come back. And if you do that very long, you learn to hit it straight pretty fast. So I actually got pretty decent hitting against the wall before I played very many people. And by the time I started playing people, I was halfway good. So I liked being good. And then I found out there's a whole nother level or two levels ahead of me. And then I was like, okay, now I got something to chase. And I like chasing too. So that was my new constant problem and still there.
I've known you for what, 8, 9 years.
It's been a while
I've
now.
had both my girls. And even taking us back to where what we discussed the 8 years ago, that David is different. This David is different from the David I knew. How has the definition of winning changed for you?
Okay, that's a great question. So early on, winning meant dominating everyone, right? And I don't know when I kind of started figuring this out, but you're not going to beat everyone all the time. I knew that, but I never really accepted that. I thought I'm going to overcome that somehow. But somewhere along the line, I watched Dawn Staley, who's the women's coach at South Carolina. She's won some national titles as a coach. I think she almost won a national title or two or three while she was a player. She was a good professional player, but smaller. And she would beat herself up after a loss, blame herself for months. And I saw myself in that when I heard her say it. And somebody said, when you're coaching, you can't beat yourself up forever. I was like, watch me, I can. And that's what she said too. Watch me. But somebody told her you have 24 hours to celebrate, 24 hours to be upset, but you got to get on, go back to work and do your thing. And I heard her say that, and I was like, it's actually really good advice because I've driven myself kind of crazy
I
before.
heard you say that to the
And
kids.
I've quit the game a couple of times, and I kind of quit coaching once, and I didn't really want to do it. And so now, I mean, Texas is a big state, right? And there's different classifications, but three of them play team tennis. So there's a 6A champion and 249 schools that won't win the state championship. There's a 5A champion. That's our class. We're the second biggest class. 249 schools are not going to win that, but one will. And we've been kind of close a few times, but winning that can't be success or failure. You have to have some other measure of we're doing the right things to get there. And then win or lose, you have to just turn the page, go to the next one. And someone that sometimes that's really hard. But I've never won a state title as a team coach. I've won two as an individual coach. This is year 30. So that's a lot more failure than success. But at Crosby, when that's the school I came from, my first day we had three kids show up for the meeting. We can't even play team tennis with three kids. So the goal there was by the end of the season, can we get enough to field a full team? By the second year, can we win some matches? We got second in district the second year. By the third year, can we win our district? And softer district, but can we win it? We did. So you have to set goals that make sense for you and your program, what you're working with. And, I mean, it'd be great if every dental office could have the number one sales,
Right.
but someone's gonna always have more. And does that mean you're awful if you're in the top 10 in the state or top 10 in the city of Houston, whatever it is?
Yeah.
So, perspective, age, wisdom, losing gets you there. Can't win them all. I hate that. I want to win them all. I try really
Oh my
hard.
gosh, wouldn't that be so ideal? Everybody win everything. You work with a lot of athletes, the good, the not so good, the great, and I've seen you coach some of these. What separates the good from the great?
Great's pretty rare, right? But every great athlete I've been around, this is actually true for some not great athletes, but all the great ones are stubborn, driven, but they still want to like gain. And somehow stubborn lets you in a little bit. Does that make sense? So I'm sure if you had a boss, you drive them crazy sometimes because you
All
can
the time,
because
which
you
is why I
can
can't ever have a boss.
you can be a little tough sometimes, and that's great. I drive my bosses crazy on occasion, but it's not because I'm not trying. It's because I'm trying really hard, and I've got some block that maybe I'm thinking they can remove. So stubborn, but it's also a self-will that I don't know if it's innate. I don't know how to give it to someone. They have it or they don't. The best player I ever had, without a doubt, was Neil John Hing, and he was driven way more than I could drive him. I had to steer him. And the next five other great players were all going to be great players no matter what sport they played, no matter who they learned from. But they also were willing to be coached and be taught. And at the same time, not give in to whatever easy button they could have pressed. So
Yeah.
that's the great ones. A lot of good ones will do most of those things.
Mhm.
And then the ones that don't want to be good, it's just not a priority for them the same way. Like for me, I don't want to be a great guitar player. I just want to play. And that's why I'd be a JV guitar player. And I'm happy with that.
Well, that's something that brings you joy versus,
Yeah, it's just something I want to do for entertainment. I
right.
don't
And
want
that's
to
the
be
same
great.
thing I tell my team. It's like if we could just be 1% better every day.
Yeah. I
Literally,
mean,
that's about small changes.
even if you're striving for it, you don't always have to get a gain. You just have to be trying to get a gain.
Correct.
So aiming for gains is really the trick.
You know, you work with a lot of these younger players, right? Yes, high school kids, but they come to you at what, 14?
Mm-hmm.
How do you cultivate resilience in these? Because, oh my gosh, children are all about instant gratification.
Microwaving the success.
How do you cultivate or help them cultivate that resilience? Because that's what we need, right? You go out into the real world, your boss isn't going to give you a sticker and a popsicle at the end of the day. At least I don't.
How do you get grit? All right. So I went to a conference once where there's a teacher, a tennis professional who worked at a resort, not a resort, a academy. And he was from South America somewhere. His accent was very strong. And at first I was like, I don't know if I'm going to sit here and listen to this whole speech because I don't know if he's saying things I need for my kids. And then I was like, well, it's going to be really awkward to walk out in the middle. He'll see me. So I waited. And then he started talking about grit. And I was like, wait a minute. That's something no one talks about, but we all want. And the way he said it was, and you might recognize this because I think Nandini was on the team when I came back with this. This was about 7 or 8 years ago. And the grit that worked like this. If you have a kid not go for a ball at 100% effort, you make them run a lap and you tell them this because they're not giving it full effort. And he said, you can let the other kids make them run for it too. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting because they're probably going to try really hard to make each other run. And he said, I bet you just thought they're going to make each other run. And he said, that's exactly what's going to happen at first. Then you pull them all in and you say, are we trying to get better? Or are we trying to make each other run? And they're all going to say, we want to get better, coach. And so you send them back out. And the first year we did it, it was amazing because they literally goofed off and tried to make each other run for 5 minutes. And then they held each other accountable for the rest of the season. The second year we did it, it led to fights that I couldn't stop. So I had to take their ability to call it off. And since then, I've been the bad guy on that. But somehow, in talking about it and telling them what's okay and what's not okay and holding them accountable, a lot of them get it. So there's an expression in sports that your team starts to look like the coach or act like the coach. And I think it's just the way you say things, the way you say what's acceptable or not okay, and they kind of pick it up. Now everybody picks it up at different levels because some people aren't going to be as competitive as others. But you think about it, like I know you're not probably an American football fan, but Mike Ditka, the coach of the Bears in the '80s, his team played like he acted. And I don't think that's an accident. And the sloppy coaches have sloppy teams. And so I think the more you just kind of preach it, teach it, walk the walk, talk the talk, the more it comes out.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I wanted you here because, like I said, earlier people are like, what is our tennis coach doing when we're talking about leadership and women? Well, this is leadership. This is when you walk the walk and you talk the talk. And it's not just expecting my team to be amazing to my patients or to the doctors that I coach or whoever when I am disrespectful, right? And it's the exact same thing that you're pointing out. So it's just parallels. For those listening in, find your parallels as to what you're doing within your businesses, where you're wanting to grow, and how that can apply.
I'm
When
a,
you,
can I interrupt for a second?
absolutely.
I'm also a patient of hers. And going, by the way, there was about a 20-year gap between my dental visits. So it's an uncomfortable thing for me to do. But when I went for the first and second and third time to her office, I remember asking you, how did you get them to be like that? Because her team, literally, it's a team. It's not an office. It is an office, but it's a team. They resemble her personality. And I was like, how did you find them? And I often ask you questions about that. And it's amazing, but they do resemble your tone, your attitude, your spunkiness, all the things. And that makes it so much easier for me to go in and do something that's uncomfortable for me. So,
Right. It has to be very intentional, anything we do as leaders, right? No
right.
matter what kind of team you're coaching or leading. And when you have an athlete that starts to doubt themselves, don't we both know one?
We do.
What is your go-to move? Like how do you get them out of their head? What do you do? What do you talk with them about?
It's a little different because each person is different.
Mhm.
The one we're talking about, we both know really well. But somehow it's going to be a combination of not one talk to fix that. It's going to be a series of talks, a series of, I'm gonna give you some confidence because I believe in you. But other times you might have to call them out and say, look, it's time for you to step up and do this because this right here is not what we're looking for. So that's, a carrot and a stick, so to speak. That's how you train an animal is you put something in front of them, have them chase it, and then every once in a while you tap them on the back. And really I don't like to say animals, but we are animals. And we do learn from positive and occasional being held accountable.
Yeah.
So
Positive reinforcement is super real. Yeah.
oh, for sure. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I would say positive 80% of the time, but about
Absolutely.
20% of the time, you got to say, look, that's not enough.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to say, look, Magna, you're not doing a good enough job. Not that I would never say that to you, but sometimes even your best players need to be told, you're not doing what I need you to do. And I had to tell a girl last week, I said, sometimes when you do this, you're giving up, you're tanking. And that just makes it feel better the way you're saying it. And they didn't like hearing that, but I was like, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And she went, you're right. And hopefully that'll make that start going away. Tanking is giving up if you're not a coaching world.
Yeah, yeah. You've been winning programs, right? We see the work you're doing with our kiddos in Friendswood, everything else. All those titles awards haven't come just because. I mean, they're well deserved. And a lot of times without ideal conditions. No fancy courts, lights, big sponsors. Although, gosh, is Lululemon listening? We'd love for you to be a sponsor here. how how did this shape your philosophy on growth? Not having what everybody you see out there having, but yet you've got these teams to get there. Like you've had some amazing players.
I appreciate you saying that. I always feel like we're one step away from where I'm trying to go. And I'm sure you feel the same way with your team and everybody else feels some form of that. For me, it's just I want every kid that plays for me to understand that what you do in January and February is going to show up in September and October. And if you take not a single day off to go do something important, but if you take time off just because it's easier, that's going to cost you. because all the work you put in, day out, the hours, the time, the running, the lifting, the extra tournaments, whatever it is, all that stuff becomes part of your confidence. And if you want to be confident in October, which for us is when the team tennis season playoffs is,
Yeah.
you've got to really start that January, February, March. You might think you're just playing spring tournaments, March, April, May, but you really shouldn't take much time off after that because summer is when tennis players are really made. And then we get into the fall season and you're thinking this never ends. Well, guess what? It doesn't really end. I had a player once who was one of the best leaders I've ever seen. And I made him run for something. He was late or missed the bus or whatever he did. He didn't do very much of that wrong. When I made him run, he looked up and he smiled. He said, "The grind never stops, coach." And it's like, man, how can I make that kid feel bad? Well, I don't really need to make him feel bad. I told him he's being held accountable. Love the kid. And he's out there running and smiling at me and said, and he's running like lap after lap. And every time he say it, I'm like, you're supposed to feel bad when I make you run. But at the end of the day, the grind doesn't stop. The work doesn't stop. I mean, whatever you want to call it. I hate what's the word? All those euphemisms or sayings, but they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Because you have to get up in the 24-hour rule. You get up and you go back to work. Did I say that on the film or before? I think that was on there, the Don Staley thing, the 24-hour rule.
I think so.
Okay. So, I mean, let's just say you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish on October 31st. Halloween was your biggest day ever. Well, on November 1st, you started the next year of really the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get to work on November 1st and 2nd, someone else is going to have that title next year and you're going to be last year's champion.
Correct.
And I got that from Phil Jackson. He says, "You're only a champion when you're doing it."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's not very fun. But what happens as soon as you hold your trophy up or your award or whatever it is, and you get your paycheck or whatever, then you have to go to work again. And that's unfortunate. I'd rather have parades, but that's really how the world works. So we keep going. And those who stop going get passed.
How do you personally keep showing up when the seasons get tough? And I don't mean, fall season versus spring season. Yes, those two, but as individuals, we have seasons in our life, right? When those seasons get tough, or even with the team and progress doesn't seem to be progressing, how do you keep showing up?
This might be sad, but I love it. My schedule's stupid sometimes. Like there are days where I have to be at work before 6 a.m.
Mhm.
and I might not get home until after 10 or 11. And I might have to do it again the next day. And there's other days where we're gone for a few days in a row. And my family might look at me, and actually the family gets it because they're humans. You can explain to them in words. But the dogs, they look at you like, why are you gone so much? But the reality is, I'm having fun every time, even when it's cold and rainy or hot and humid or anywhere in between, all the things that can happen. I don't love a good rain delay, but I mean, at the end of it all, even a rain delay is a chance to hang out with the kids and talk to them and maybe
Oh
find
yeah,
out something.
Coach Cook has stories for days.
Well, but I'm also learning from them every time. I
Exactly.
mean, I'm not just telling them what I think. I'm also saying, what do you think? Because every year I get a new group of kids. I mean, we graduated 16 players last year and we got 16 new players in their spots. I got to get to know them and I'm not going to have them come in and do an interview with them. I'm going to talk to them after practice when they're tired and sweating and that's when they're going to be real. And that's when I get to know them. And honestly, the more I get to know them in those odd little quirky downtimes, the more I'm going to be able to push their button or lift them up or whatever I need to do when it matters later on. And that's kind of like I think the hidden time is. I remember Emerson last year after we ran 20 sprints or something. He just started talking to me. Emerson graduated last year. It was a state qualifier and kind of unexpected. No, don't mean anything bad by that, but he wasn't expected to go that far. But about a month before all that, he ran all his sprints and he started asking me questions about basketball. And I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but I do believe Jordan was better than anybody playing right now. And that became our argument we used to have. And he started talking to me about just whatever was going on in his life for a minute, 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm thinking, I could go home right now, but this is actually kind of fun. And my child was like, hey, let's go. And I was like, no, I'm having a moment. Let me have it.
Yes.
But why do we need to be here? I was like, because this is when those little connections are made.
This is what matters.
And
Yeah. That's probably what he's going to remember.
I hope so, because at the end of the day, when in my world, if a kid looks up and they see me next to the court, I want them to think that guy's got my back. He's going to help me, not that guy doesn't like me or he's mad at me or whatever. And there are times when I'm going to be mad at him, but really, I want them to look up and say, things are better. I've got my helper. I've got my person. And for me to be that person, I've got to be there thick and thin, rainy day, sunny day, spring day, fall day, whatever it is. And it just takes time. Time is the time and trust are the two things I deal in the most.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I was setting up here, Madhvi called earlier, and I was like, I'm setting up to talk to Coach Cook. Who you got? She's like, well, we just finished sprints. And my instinct was, what'd you do? Why did you get mad at you? She's like, no, mom, this was everybody. We were doing sprints. I wasn't running. So I guess even the parents are conditioned.
We do run every week, even if they're not in trouble.
Which is what she explained to me after 8 years of being tennis mom. What is one moment that fundamentally changed how you lead these children? Is there anything that comes to mind where like this was it?
I don't know that there was a moment. I just know one day I looked up and somebody asked me when I was thinking about retiring. And I thought, how long have I been doing this? Because in my mind, I'm still that 18 or 20-year-old kid that is going to play tennis. And I kind of figure out a way to make some money so I could play more. And on the inside, that's still who I feel like. But on the outside, I'm not that. And really, the inside changed a lot. You've seen it in your years, but at some point, I kind of started to figure out it's really not the sport that I'm coaching. I'm coaching people. I'm coaching these kids. I'm in the people business more than the tennis business. And I don't know when I figured that out, but once I figured it out, I looked back and I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing for a while. And that was kind of shocking when I figured that out because it's not really the sport that matters. It's what the sport gives you, what the sport teaches you. And I was probably in my 40s when I figured that out. And I'm 54 now. So sometime in the last 10 or 15 years, that kind of hit me. And I was like, huh, that's what I'm doing here. And it wasn't like something happened. I just kind of looked up and I was old. And that's what I realized.
You're not old, but okay.
Trust me, I'm old.
So is this what you would say your legacy is going to be, or what legacy do you want to leave?
I would, well, there's more than one part to that, but I love watching people I've coach, even if they're new at it. I've got some kids that are coaching their first lessons this year, and they're making new person mistakes, but it's fun to watch it. And I've had a lot of kids do that. That's pretty neat because they're using the game and they're gonna help if they do it long enough, they'll figure out some of the same things I'm figuring out. But I hope every player kind of takes just the stick to itiveness, the grit that I'm trying to instill in them and uses that for whatever they're doing. Because really that's the lesson, right? Just how do you get tough when things aren't easy? And they're usually not easy. I mean, if you're just doing your life, you wake up and you go to work and you come home and you got kids, they need to eat, they're gonna break something, break a window, whatever it is, you gotta fix it. And you're like, man, why is this so hard? But at some point, they're gonna become that person that you're being now, and you want them to do it as well as you or better. And I've got two kids at home. One's not at home anymore, but I've got hundreds of kids that played for me, maybe even closer to 1,000 at this point.
Right.
And I want them to all take that and teach their kids the same thing. And that's the exponential lesson.
Yeah.
Just be tough.
Yeah, love it. As we wrap up, I have a quick fire round. We're gonna get into it. Okay, no, there's no ums, ahs, thinking. We're gonna really
So I don't have like very long to like pause.
You could pause, just no long-winded answers. How about that?
Okay, quick answers. Go.
Your morning routine in one line.
I am slow. I wake up early, but I am slow for the first hour. 5 o'clock out of bed. I really don't do anything until 6 o'clock. It's me on the phone. After that, I start moving slow. But I'm up early. 3 lines.
Favorite coaching mantra or quote?
I'll give you one. I don't know if it's my favorite one, but it's up there. It's kind of fun to do the things that no one else is doing.
Yep.
And that can be hard things.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really love telling them that when they're doing something hard.
Yeah. Your hardest loss.
Anytime I feel like someone's cheated and we've lost, that makes it worse. If we just lost because they beat us, that's fine. I can live with that. But getting cheated hurts because that's not a fair fight.
What is one quality you believe every leader should cultivate?
Man, lead by example. At the end of the day, your example, the way you body language, the way you smile or not, that's so much more what people are hearing when you talk to them. And I don't know what words anyone says, but if you're kind in your demeanor or your expression, it's coming through in your words. And if you're not, I don't care what you say, it's not.
Yeah. One word that defines you right now.
I hope grit. I'm hoping that's what it is.
There we go. I think it's
I'll
apt.
take it.
And our very last one before I let you go, Friday night favorite meal.
Oh, if I can grill steaks or burgers or pork chops or anything on the grill, if the weather's nice, just starting the process of getting the fire going, that's the happy place. What's on the grill is less important.
Everything's right with the world then,
Yeah.
right? That's amazing. Last words before we wind down today's episode.
Last words from me, just whatever I want to say. Man, I'm about to give a presentation to some younger coaches or coaches who haven't taught as long as I have. It's shocking how fast years go by. Days go by slow, weeks go by slow, but years go by fast. And if I could just give everybody that hears this one thing, find something you really like to do that you're passionate about and try to be an expert. And that's not, I'm not the first person who said that. I don't know who said it first. But if you can find your own little niche details inside of that, you can be better than average. If you can find a couple of those, you can be great. And then don't be surprised when people start asking you questions like, will you go present? Because all of a sudden, like you've been doing it for a while and they're asking you, like, I'm still new at this. What are you talking about? I'm still new here. But yeah, try to find something you really like doing. Like you asked about how do I get through the seasons? I have a blast, but I still go home and like, man, I've been gone a long time. And that's the part that kind of eats at me. But while I'm doing it, I don't feel it. I only feel it when it's over. And that's the part that kind of makes me go, wow, I've been gone for how many hours? So,
well, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and coming to chat with me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored.
I'm super excited for this conversation. For those listening in, I will have David's bio and other links in our show notes. So if you ever need an amazing coach that has wisdom to share, which he does, you know where to find him. As always, share this episode with somebody you know who is going to benefit from this, a female, a leader, a sister, a mother, or even a student, because he knows it all. I will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.